Good evening and welcome to the JARC and the Novice Race Ferrari Challenge. Round 2 takes us to Watkins Glen on the boot layout. I'm Tom Cairns in the contrary position. Alongside me is Jim Cunningham, who will be with me for the next hour to share his thoughts over the course of the next hour or so. 2 races lined up. We've got a 20-minute race based on the qualifying results and then a 20-minute reverse grid, a full reverse grid race to follow to round off the day's action. Let's bring Jim into the booth. Jim, welcome. Good to see you as we approach the final minutes of qualifying. How are you today?
Good. Good to be here with you. A little early for American soil over here. Bright and early. Well, it's not even bright yet. It's still dark and early. But yeah, I'm glad to be here. Watkins Glen this week. Entire week. Watkins Glen in the racing world. 6 hours of the. So yeah, it's good to be here and excited for the. I've done some good league, a lot of fun. Racing action, brand new Ferrari challenge cars.
And looking at the championship stand-ins after the opening round of the season in Mugello, Andy Pratt is tied on points with Tommy Potero. They've got 40 points each. Then it's George Matakos in third place on 13. It's Tom Weston in fourth on 35. Then it's Eric Orchin in fifth on 32 with Alistair Clark, Nick Green, Matt Warner, Reece Bartlett. Then it's Parker Enquist in 10th place, followed by Tim Wybro, Jerome Wolf, Trey Lambrecht, and Andre Svoboda. We've got some drivers who weren't in last week, but are in today. Going down on the time pages, Tommy Potero, the number 88 from Finland, is on provisional pole. There doesn't seem to be any drivers on circuit right now, so it's sealed and done for the Finn. He will take pole position for the first race this evening with Matt Warner alongside Stephen Ladd, the fastest at the moment of the AMS. Now, for those of you who are watching, the purple indicates the pros, the green indicates the AMS. And Stephen Ladd looking to continue his good form from Mugello last week.
Yeah, so to give you a little insight as to what I know about the leagues, obviously watching this. Jack Ashton, the life racer, film racing coach, and so our a lot on racecraft and
Tommy Potero on pole ahead of Matt Warner alongside it's George Matakos in third place alongside Stephen Ladd, the highest of the AMS. It's Nick Green and Eric Orkin on the third row of the grid. Alistair Clark and Tom Weston next, with Trey Lambrecht and Andy Pratt rounding out the top 10. Andre Svoboda and Lachlan Mayer on row 6, followed by Jerry Ferner and Tim Wybro. Jerome Wolf and Parker Enquist on the 8th row, with Garrett Kinney and Ian Knox on the 9th row. And on the last row of the grid in 19th place is Reece Bartlett. So we're just waiting. Go on, Jim.
Oh no, I was just going to say, it looks like the field's a little bigger turnout than hours left. Yeah, so apparently, obviously they're getting more cars. That and good league I know about.
We're waiting for the last couple of cars, Tommy Potero and Tom Weston. We're waiting to see that we'll get on to the grid. I think Reece Bartlett we're also waiting. So the Kiwi we're also waiting on. I could just about see the difference between the Australian and the New Zealand flags because that extra white, the extra white stars that are on there compared to the New Zealand stars. So it's quite tricky to get tripped over between the Australian and the New Zealand flags. But Reece Bartlett is from New Zealand. The likes of Ian Knox, Tim Wybro, and Lachlan Mayer and Andy Pratt and Alistair Clark, Nick Green and Stephen Ladd are all from Australia, which is a rather interesting fact for you. The cars are ready to go now on the grid. We're just waiting for Tom Weston. He's got around about 10 seconds before the lights will go out. He is on the grid now And Reece Bartlett looks like he's going to be starting from the pit lane, as he will be. So we've got the 5 red lights coming on now. We've got 1 light, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lights are on. Lights off. It's go at Watkins Glen. It's a super getaway from Eric Orkin from 6th position. And he's going to shoot up momentarily, but he's dropped down the order, actually, as Eric Orkin. And they're coming into turn 1 now. What about the leaders? Well, Tommy Patero takes the early advantage. George Matakos up into 2nd place ahead of Matt Warner as they enter the S's for the first time. And it's a super getaway. Nick Green making up a position. Tom Weston up 2 positions. Eric Orkin having an absolute disappointing start. Ian Knox is the highest of all those, or I say the highest. He's made up the most out of anyone in the field, up from 18th to 13th. But Tommy Patero taking an early lead. It's Matakos second, it's Warner, Green, Laird, the highest of the AMs, and it's Weston, Clark, Orkin, Lembracht, and Mayer.
It was actually a pretty quick start, it looks like, which of a Laboda back in hot nice.
Well, he's in the pits already, and Wybro's also out. So I think Wybro and Svoboda have come together at the inner loop, hence why they're both in the pit lane. And that's that.
Up in there.
This is over at the inner loop then. So we are looking at.
Oh,
That's Constantina. That is really bizarre, actually.
man, it's like he didn't know where the brake pedal. Wow.
Yeah, that's a really bizarre incident. And that has put both Svoboda and Wybro into the pit lane and out on the spot. I think someone else could pick up damage as well. Tom Weston's dropped down the order from where he was. He was around about. Well, that's it. This is over at the heel.
Oh.
And coming up to as he rejoined the circuit, he just lost control, and that'll be him off into the pit lane because the rear wing's gone on that machine, and someone just making a dive bomb as he rejoined, and chaotic start here at Watkins Glen.
Relatively speaking, though, not horrible. Tell you what, I've seen disastrous starts at the track. I've done, no exaggeration, probably 5 or 6. And the one that had the highest streak field had the worst start of all of them. They looped it. I mean, they tore it up in the S's out right after turn 1 there, or turn 2.
Then we see Patero in the lead with Matakos and Warner in 2nd and 3rd places, nose to tail. Gary Verner's mid in front of Eric Orkin, and it's because Orkin has had a moment on circuit. We'll find out exactly what's happened to him. He's not had a great start to this one. He lost places at the start, and he's about to have another incident of his own. Puts a wheel on the grass on entry, and he actually gets tipped round. Couldn't quite see who that was that ran into him. It might have been Gary Verner, actually, thinking of it. And ended up having to do a 3-point turn. It was Gary Verner, or Jerry Verner, I should say. But yeah, Jerry Verner running into Eric Orkin on that occasion. Won't please Orkin one bit. But Matt Warner in 2nd place, he chases after Matakos for P2.
Yeah, this is so I don't know how much you know about this car. This is now in a lot of ways apparently it's car. I believe it actually has a little power than Ferrari 290, but apparently it does not have as good of brakes. Boats craft. Or they seem, everything I've seen, I haven't driven. They seem popular, a lot of fun. Battle right here. Apparently, Eric Orkin had another incident. That's tough.
Well, his rear wing was already gone. This is why he's had the spin.
Yeah, this is a tough track to get around without a wing for sure. Right back.
He's in the pits. Comes Orkin already down the order. Weston's moved up a position at least. Anyway, he came into the pits at the end of lap 1 via the natural way of coming in, rather than going through via the menu. or jumping back to the pits, if you want to call it that. But he's still in the race. Is Tom Weston running in 15th position? If he can maybe get past those in the AMs, then there'll be extra points coming his way. And enter turn number. It's known as turn 10 here because some corners, the Americans name them like 2A or 2B or something like that. I don't know why they call them like that, in all honesty. But that's just the way they name them. This is the 90-degree turn that they're entering now of turn 1. Matakos and Warner. Does Warner go for it around the outside? He thinks about it later on the brakes compared to the Greek, but no way through at the moment.
My guess is he was trying to set himself up there for a good run off that turn, possibly carrying a little down this guesses straight heading for the top, but does not run off there. Chaos is.
Well, the closest battle we've got on circuit is the battle for second place, because it's not just Warner going after Matakos, there's also Nick Green right behind, and there's also a battle for. And if we could just get the gaps on the timing pages as well,
Oh, sure,
Jim, so that everyone can see what's going on. You can see the gaps. There you see the gaps, the intervals between each of the cars. Matakos ahead of Warner and Green. You can just see up the hill they come. And the highest of the AMs, as we speak, is Alistair Clark, who's in front of Stephen Laird as they enter the heel. Warner to the outside this time of Matakos, and this should give him the inside line for the top of the hill for the third to last corner of the racetrack. And Warner is through into P2. Nicely done.
yeah, that was an absolute perfect. Butter burner.
Jerry Verner going through the inner loop, heavy on the curbs there, and yeah, he was always going to get out of shape, and into the barrier goes Jerry Verner. You really got to be careful when riding over those curbs like that. They are not your best friend.
No,
and he was able to continue.
One of the most iconic turns in motorsport. Must stop at Watkins. Trouble. Such a fine line, right? It's such a fine line between getting it perfect and getting it absolutely wrong.
Warner getting the gap down. 4.7 seconds is the margin between him and Tommy Patero, who's dominating proceedings so far. And we've got a three-way battle for the honours in the AMs involving Alistair Clark, Stephen Laird and Trey Lambrecht. They enter the tow. There is Clark in the green livery Ferrari. And you've got Stephen Laird in the white and purple. And then you've got Lambrecht in the what looks like an all-white, pretty much, livery machine. And those to tell those three. So it's just as intense there as it is for the battle for second place in the pros, if not even more intense.
Yeah, I would agree. Right now, this is definitely battle on track. Battle here. Top three spots in. This white and purple out on this Ferrari is not something described it to me I would have thought was.
I do like the green livery. It's probably one of my favourites, probably because green is my favourite colour, that type of thing. But 9 minutes into...
I would say it's a classic racing color for sure, that, you know, British racing ever.
We're 9 minutes into this one so far on lap 6. Patero's lead is being managed at 5 seconds. Warner's pulling away from Matakos. Green has got a fair gap over Clark as well. So we're not really seeing any overtake. This is the closest battle we've got on circuit that we can give you for the time being. Are we aware of maybe any further incidents around the circuit that we've not picked up on, Jim? Because
no, nothing. Gary Verner's, it was the last one at all. No, they're just kind of settling in and spreading out. Definitely the best battle on track here. Clark and paired with Lambrecht. Oh, so yeah, that's definitely the battle on track that I see right now.
The sun is shining momentarily before it dots back underneath the clouds here at Watkins Glen, close to the Big Apple, or within the state of the Big Apple.
Yeah, it's probably still 5 or 6 hours. 5 from New York City.
Is it really?
Yeah. This is out in the Catskill Mountains. So yeah, this is kind of, I think, the foothills, Catskill. Why you have the elevation changes. Yeah, it's a good piece from.
Nice. I mean, to be honest, traveling about 5 to 6 hours is like driving from Edinburgh. Is like driving from, I don't know, Newcastle all the way down to London.
Yeah, well, this and New York's a pretty big state. People always think of New York City. New York State proper, almost got that wrong.
Yeah, Stephen Led heavy over the curbs at the inner loop, but surviving.
Yeah, so it's a decent, fairly big state. I mean, obviously, I'm from Texas, which it can take a full 24 hours to drive across, driving at a proper angle. It's a big place, but New York State is very nice, and this is a lot closer to Canada than probably not that far. Hours.
Tommy Botero in the lead still. He's increased the gap to 6 seconds over Matt Warner as they come around to complete their 7th lap of the race. Around about 5 laps to go, judging by the amount of time we've got left. But it feels to me like Botero's got this one in his pocket. Matakos is responding though to Warner, who's lost time to Botero on that lap, and it feels to me like Clark is beginning to close in on green, and there you can see Warner not getting the best of exits, and he's allowed Matakos, Green and Clark to get in the mix here for a possible podium overall.
Yeah, this actually, it's like had Warner had a mistake, but certainly didn't put in the best lap there, and allowed those back with it. Braking it. Right back here, this is battle for. I'll have back up.
Joe Werner in the pits with some form of issue. We knew he had damage from when he hit the barrier on the exit of the inner loop, and he probably felt like the car was undrivable, so that's perhaps what has prompted him to enter the pit lane. He's fallen behind Tom Weston now, so Joe Werner is in 15th position as we speak. This is between Knox and Mayer. Mayer going to the inside, and he had to dive bomb his way through there. Runs Knox out wide, and Knox, I think, was rather more surprised to see him go for a move from that far back. He gets back through, but I think Mayer may have had to have let him by, because he may have that may have been perceived as forcing another driver off the circuit.
And sure, no one's ever done that in iRacing. Oh, that.
Oh, he's clipped the wall. Mayer's clipped the wall on the exit of the last turn. Yeah, he hit the barrier like square on. I'll look to see how that has affected the handling of the machine as he goes through the 90-degree turn.
Oh, popped it pretty good, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna probably knock him out of tow or something. So that affects his.
Jerry Verne is back on the circuit now. He's just been overtaken by Eric Hawkin in for 15th position. Vernon down to 16th, and now looking at Nick Green, who's in 4th place behind Matakos and Warner. There's bigger gaps now between those, and I think they're coming up actually to some bat markers, which could play a role in how the race gets decided. Patero is still leading the race, over 7 seconds clear over Warner now, who's looking good for second place. We're riding well with Alistair Clark, who has got Laird and Lambret on his tail for the honours in the AMS.
And he's actually given Nick Green here a pretty good run for 4th overall.
He is. There are back markers to play their part as they enter the top of the heel. Well, the top of the heel, I should say, the top of the boot, as they come out of there and through the penultimate turn of 10. And then it's 11 to round off the lap itself. And so far,
up the track map.
And looking at where the field is, you can just see that. You can just see whereabouts everyone is, and Wybro's come back into the pit lane, presumably with some form of issue. He'll want to get back out there, make sure he does finish the race, does Tim Wybro, man from Australia.
Extra big star right under the Australian flag, right under a little British flag. What is
Jack? It's called the Union Jack, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we call it over here.
So
the Union Jack.
The Australian flag has the big star or dot on.
Yeah. Yeah, because Australia has 6 states. New Zealand only has 4.
Oh, okay.
And for those of you who like your geography, I'm just trying to remember all of the states of Australia, considering there's only 6 of them. There's New South Wales, there's Queensland, there is Victoria, and a few of the others which I'm struggling to come to my head, actually. They'll come to me at some point in the near future. But either way, we can focus on the action with 3 minutes to go, with Patero still leading the way. He's on his penultimate lap. He's on lap 11 now, with less than 3 minutes remaining. And now we're looking at Alistair Clark, who's on the tail of Nick Green as they come through over the line. And there's no such change, no change there at the moment. Whether we will see any form of change is another question, but they will consider the fact that there will be a reverse grid for the second one. There is a warm-up session in between the 2 races, just to give the drivers a little bit of a breather before they start going racing again. But it's so far so good for Tommy Patero, who once again is going to come away with another victory. This is Lachlan Mayer. This is over at turn 9. Yeah, he just gets out of shape, really. As soon as the back end just stepped out, and he just couldn't correct the slide, Mayer, and has lost time. Nick Green's been overtaken by Alistair Clark. They're in a dice between those two. We want to go to that, Jim, because they keep swapping places as we speak. We're looking at the replay still at the moment. We want to be going to the battle between Clark and Green. And it looks like Laird has dropped down the order, and Lambret as well. There's been an incident. There's been an incident further back involving Lambret and Laird. So the two who are running in 2nd and 3rd in the AMS have come together.
Oh.
So it's Laird running into Green first. And then Lambret tipping Laird around, and yeah.
Yeah, that was
I'm a little bit surprised Lambret didn't get off the throttle at that point there, because he was just about within a car's length alongside. He needed to allow Laird to just get the exit he needed to pull away. But we are on the last lap.
You definitely think last lap, right?
Yeah, it's definitely the last lap. Because by the time the 20 minutes hit, it will be the checker flag for when Patero comes around. This is Nick Green, who's in 5th place behind Alistair Clark as they come towards the inner loop. And Green will want to get back through, but Alistair Clark is on course to win out in the AMs, but not by running wide like that. And he rejoins safely and allows Green to go past.
Definitely good.
We'll go to the leader of Tommy Patero, who is entering the heel for the last time here. He's driven a beautiful race to get up to where he is at. Someone stopped on the circuit. We'll stay away from that for the time being. It might be Stephen Laird who has gone down the order, or it will be someone else. But Patero is coming through turn 9, turn 10, and then 11, the last corner before the pit straight. It's been a super drive from Tommy Patero from start to finish, convincingly, untroubled, and is going to take the first win here in Watkins Glen. A super drive from Tommy Patero, wins out by nearly 8 seconds over Matt Warner. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, that was just a phenomenal run. Great job there. Not be over. Battling.
So Ian Knox over the line in P7 behind Andy Pratt, and Trey Lembrane, despite the run-in, has ended up finishing ahead of Laird, second in the AMs, ahead of Lachlan Mayer, and Stephen Laird completing the AM podium as well. We see Parker Enquist over the line. Not spoken too much about him, but at least he's had a clean race all the way through. We're just waiting for Tom Weston to get his car home, and we'll run down on the result in this first race. So the full reverse grid, if it is a full reverse grid based on the finishers, if you were to exclude Ryan Bartlett, or Reese Bartlett I should say, sorry, my apologies for that, it will be Tim Wybro on pole position, and it'll be Andre Svoboda alongside, aiming for better races, and it will be Eric Orchin in third place on the grid. We'll just wait for Weston to head over the line, and it'll be the race result sealed, and the drivers can have a breather and just reflect on what they've been experiencing out there. So Weston gets over the line, and we can finally run down on the result for race number 1 here at Watkins Glen in this Ferrari Challenge Championship. Tommy Patero the winner over Matt Warner. Then it's George Matakos in third place, Nick Green in fourth, Alistair Clark the winner in the AMs in fifth, followed by Andy Pratt, Ian Knox 7th, Trey Lembrett second in the AMs in 8th overall, Lachlan Mayer 9th, and Stephen Laird, despite the collision with Lembrett in the closing stages, running out the top 10 and completing the AM podium. Garrett Kinney and Parker Enquist are 11th and 12th, followed by Jerome Wolf and Tom Weston. Jerry Werner, Eric Horchin, and Andre Svoboda are the rest of those to have finished, as well as Tim Wybro, who ended up 2 laps down. Reese Bartlett did not even take the start in that one.
Oh, yeah, well, I thought overall, I thought that was a pretty good race. We had several battles up and down the field there. That was nice.
Well, this is the warm-up session now, so we just wait for the second race to come. It will be a full reverse grid for race number 2, 20 minutes long again. And then once that is done, that'll be the action completed, as we see Svoboda taking the rather more unconventional route through the inner loop. Afraid that's not going to be the way to be done within this configuration, Andre. And he'll be hoping that he can get up to a really good start. It'll be a nice challenge, actually, for Tommy Patero to get through the field up to the front and maybe take a clean sweep tonight.
That's a tall order. I mean, that's pretty far back there at Watkins, and biggest problem is initial first several corners and up to the S's and that. It's going to allow the field just to kind of, as he's that initial part, it's going to allow those top 3 or 4 guys to pull on out and separate.
This is the second round of the championship of the JARC and the Novice Racer Racing League Ferrari Challenge. We went to Mugello last week, and it's Watkins Glen tonight. Silverstone is next week, and then it's a week off for these drivers before they return on the 20th of July. at the Bend in Australia, and it's off to Road America on the 27th. The 3rd of August, it'll be in Hungary, which is expected to be in wet conditions. The 10th of August will be in Thruxton, which I believe is the season finale for them, because the 17th of August is expected to be some form of fun race. In terms of the circuit, we don't know yet, but there's no championship points on offer for that.
Yeah, this schedule, apparently they set up all the schedules, like I said, craft. I would say that schedule well thought out, and types of craft practice, or at least that was Jack Ashton, assuming that probably the same since got apart. Jack Ashton. So
we'll see how the drivers get on in the second race, particularly the front runners of Tommy Patero, Matt Warner, and George Matakos, who will be at the back this time. And it's going to be quite a challenge for them to get to the front. But I honestly think they'll have enough time to get through the whole field, providing they don't trip over other drivers.
Well, apparently my mic is a bit quiet, which probably makes some adjustment. But in this last minute, talking about it, chat. But by the way, thank you for joining us in chat. Well, Tom keeps staying here.
Well, it's a 90-degree turn that the show's just gone through. That'll be a Jerome Wolf. He has gone through, and then he's going through the S's, which has caught out a number of drivers through many championships across this particular configuration. And he's hoping that he can continue his form into the second race.
So
I just mentioned the...
I'm sorry, I'm looking here at chat and somebody says, where's the car sound? According to my stuff, the car sound should be loud. Is that the case at all, or is not hearing the car sound? So practice it. Get your grid up, and I'll try to talk a little louder. Made a slight adjustments. All right.
Ryan Bartlett at the... Yep, so we'll run down on the grid with Ryan Bartlett on reverse grid pole ahead, Tim Wybrow, and it's Andre Svoboda and Eric Orchin on row 2. Jerry Werner and Tom Weston are on row 3, followed by Jerome Wolf and Parker Enquist. Garrett Kinney and Stephen Laird ran out the top 10. Lachlan Mayer and Trey Lambert are on row number 6. On the 7th row of the grid, in 13th and 14th places, are Ian Knox and Andy Pratt, with Alistair Clark and Nick Green on row 8. George Matakos and Matt Warner on row 9. At the back is the race winner from the first event. That is Tommy Patero.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty long.
It went straight to green, so we need to go to the action. We are underway for race number 2 here in Watkins Glen, and it's Tim Wybrow who's got to a superstar ahead of Eric Orchin in second place. Andre Savoda in third, with Jerry Werner moving up a position in fourth. It's Parker Enquist and Stephen Laird up a few positions each. Reece Bartlett didn't take the start again, unfortunately, as we watched Tommy Patero make up a few positions and then tumbled down a little bit. But it'll take some time before we see him come into his zone and make his way through the field nice and sound. But so far, great start from Tim Wybrow at the head of the field.
Yeah, he's pulling away nicely, as we talked about. And again, those first four or five cars are really starting to spread it out there. As we talked about Arrow, he's already 4 seconds behind the leader. How fast, how slow the field spreads out. wide back there. Not the best plan.
Putting a wheel on the grass further up ahead. I couldn't quite see who it was. It might have been Parker Enquist who put a wheel on the grass. And as we see, Savoda under attack from Jerry Werner, who's behind in 4th place. It won't be too long before we see these being under attack from the top guns. Werner goes past Savoda into turn 9, and it'll be looking onto a turn of 10 and then 11 to round out the first lap of this reversed grid race. And so far as the top guns are concerned, you can just see all the leftover gravel on the circuit there, which is rather strange because the session's only just started, and that could cause some form of hazard for the drivers in the coming laps. Now we see Andy Pratt, who is going for a move on Parker Enquist into turn 1, but Enquist runs into Lachlan Mayer at turn 1. He'll get a slowdown for that because that was avoidable, unfortunately, and Mayer won't be too impressed with that.
I'm sorry, yeah, I was adjusting the sounds again. Cars show to be very loud. I'm surprised by that.
Mayer is back in the pit lane. Mayer is back in the pit lane after the contact from Parker Enquist. He'll be really displeased with that. And we'll see Lachlan Mayer. And yeah, that's the after effects from the contacts he had with Parker Enquist. So clearly some suspension damage, I think, on Mayer's car that sends him back to the pits.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Way up.
Well, Tim Wybrow's gone down the order. Wybrow's gone down the order, Jim, from the race lead.
Classic Watkins Glen. Oh no. Not her. Process. Added up here. Second, third, and fourth right there, rated by about 10 of us.
So I head over the line once more. We've got more drama further back. Is that Nick Green has gone down the order? I think it's Nick Green who had an accident on the exit of the last turn. So that is him in trouble. We'll find out what's happened. Well, someone's coming off the circuit, actually. Went over the debris there on the outside and just put Nick Green in the barrier. That's a really bizarre incident, is that? Because that car that collided with Nick Green came from off the circuit.
Yeah,
and
that was...
basically expected, that car that came back from off the circuit expected to be given room, which is not supposed to be the case at all. You're supposed to leave room for the car that is on the circuit to make sure you all get through the next corner safe and sound. That was technically an unsafe rejoin in my book.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. You know,
Nick Green out.
If he had just got going, it would, you know.
Yeah, we've got more. We've got incidents aplenty,
Yeah,
Jim,
we do.
because Wybrow, Wolf, Kinney, and Lambrecht have been in the wars. All four drivers in the AMS. Now, what has happened here? This is Jerome Wolf we're looking at. It looks like he has had some damage earlier on in the lap.
Yeah, must have.
So he's
'cause
parked
he
up.
just stopped, yeah.
Oh, it's on the exit of the S's.
Oh my. Atlas.
That was Tim Wybrow. He came together, and someone else got involved in the mayhem. So that's the initial incident, and I think that might have been Garrett Kinney. It might have been Garrett Kinney that collided, well, unless it was Trey.
There's Kinney there.
So it's got to be Lambert, and it looks like Nick Green just spun in the aftermath.
Yeah, that was Lambert.
This is Eric Orchin in second place. Ian Knox right behind. Jerry Werner is the leader in the pros. Eric Orchin is the leader in the AMS. And Orchin is under attack from the likes of Svoboda. Then it's Stephen Laird. Andy Pratt's just gone past Laird, coming through the outer loop. And Will they get through safely? That was very nearly contact there between Savoda and Pratt. And as they go through the entry of the foot, or the boot rather, and that's another spin. That's Stephen Laird that's gone round.
Is Laird. Figured something had to give there a little bit, the way they were all battling together, all four of those. Oh, he actually, the group he was running in had nothing to do with it. He lost it off 8.
Fifth place, Andy Pratt running behind Andre Savoda. Eric Orchin still in third as they enter the penultimate turn. We're approaching the end of lap number 4 here. And Joe Werner continuing to lead the way. We are looking at the lap times, Jim, so if you could just get the intervals up on the screen so the spectators can see. It's Tommy Botero who's now up into P7 in the order from the back of the field after his race 1 win. And we're looking at Werner and Knox who are going into combat for the lead here. Now they need to be sensible here because the likes of Botero and that will be closing on them if they're not careful, as Werner and Knox go through. Laird back in the pit lane, presumably with problems after that spin. And Werner and Knox are coming out of the outer loop once more. And further back, we've got a 5-car scrap over the final podium position overall between Orchin, Pratt, Savoda, Clark and Patero. Patero just needs to pick them off one by one. I still think Patero will win this.
Well, I mean, he's certainly coming up through the field, but well, lack of a better term, this is quite a gaggle of cars here he's got to work his way through. And you have some, well, a couple of AMs that he has to get by. Past Clark there. A dog is excited about the action.
So coming through the last corner again. Patero running in 6th place with Andy Pratt ahead in 5th. And it's Savoda, Orchin, and it's Knox and Werner. So as they enter out the 90-degree turn, and Werner's still leading the way as they come up the hill once more.
Great battle right here. These 4 spots. They got a pretty good battle going on up front ahead of us for the lead. You can.
There's Pratt going through on Savoda into the inner loop. Do they go over the curbs? They do. Savoda just about survived. He had to get off the throttle, make sure he got through safely. But yeah, it was an audacious maneuver from Pratt, but he made it work.
Well, there was a really slow car there to the inside of the track. I'm assuming that was probably a lap car that they were getting by and he out of the way. Somebody from the prop.
Well, Patero's still on the tail of Savoda, entering the toe. And now we're looking at Werner and Knox for the lead. They've got a back marker in the way. I think that's Stephen Laird up in front. And Knox is looking for a way through. No way just yet for Ian Knox. Werner will go defensive through the left-hander. Now they're going to be coming up. Hopefully they don't get boxed in behind. And Patero and Savoda are side by side on the exit of that corner. They've just gone through now. On board with Ian Knox as Werner goes wide, entering the final turn. He leaves the door open for Knox to switch through, and he goes through at last as Knox. And I think that move was coming all along. I think Werner looked vulnerable through that part of the course, and that was the invitation that Knox was never going to refuse.
Yeah, he was. You could tell he was waiting on that. I mean, because he was right on him, and he didn't try anything till he got right there. He had a spot, I think, kind of picked out that was coming up. Tell you what, Werner's not going to give it up easy, though, is he?
He's not giving up by any means. He's on into the slipstream of Knox again. and they're going through the inner loop again, and just see Knox go well deep, well over the chicane, and that's Werner back through again. Orchin's still another 3 seconds off the pair, actually. He's holding up Pratt, Patero, and Svoboda and Clark. So they're going through the boot again, and where will they end up out of this? Because Patero is still stuck behind Pratt and Orchin. He'll want to get through on these because he is running out of time to make it work. And these two, well, they're continuing to dice it out.
Well, that's the best thing that could possibly happen for Tommy Patero. He's that's a gift that they're battling that hard up front. That's though, isn't it? Patero right there.
Patero going up the hill. He's behind these. He needs to dispose of these as soon as he can. Does the fin. Coming out, they come. Tom Weston's been overtaken by Matt Warner, who's up into 8th place. And you can just see how Joe's running wide on the exit of the penultimate turn, which is... this is George Mitakos, who's running in P10. He's not exactly made his way through the field in the same way as Tommy Patero has done. But Ian Knox, well, he is behind Werner again as they go through the S's. Now, we saw how close they were entering the inner loop last time. And, well, they've just got to make sure they get through safely here. If they tangle, that could cause problems for the likes of Orchin and that.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that battle back there. Like 4th, 5th, 6th. And really heat. Going for it.
Pratt overtakes Orchin as they go through the inner loop. Orchin down to 4th, but he is still the leader in the AMs. Patero not too far behind either as they come out of the outer loop. Patero alongside almost, and just see Clark and Svoboda there as well. Svoboda runs into him and goes for a spin, entering the boot.
Yeah, do you think they contacted, or do you think he spun it trying to keep his car off of Patero?
Well, in my honest opinion, he just came too close to Clark, and he couldn't get out of the... he just braked too late, really, and just couldn't avoid running into him. So that's Svoboda down a few positions, unfortunately. Eric Orchin running in 5th place. Patero's got ahead of him. And now Patero can focus his attention on Andy Pratt. This is going to be a replay of Andre Svoboda through the boot here. Yeah, he just came too close. He came too close, and a lack of patience as well, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, well, that's a characteristic of a lot, obviously. Going at it up here. Oh my goodness, we got battles there.
Yeah, he's gone wide as Werner. He was always going to run wide as soon as he took the corner in that kind of angle, and that's all of what Ian Knox needs. But Werner will have the advantage of the slipstream all the way up the hill as Svoboda goes back into the pit lane after his bonnet took damage from hitting the wall. And you can just see behind them, I think that's Stephen Laird, who is a lap down, who's done well actually to keep up with these. Yes. So he's showing some strong pace. He's led.
I mean, he had good pace last race as well. I mean, he was right there in that 3rd, 4th, 5th battle the whole time. Uh-oh. Mayer had some problems.
This is Lachlan Mayer.
Lachlan. Oh!
Yeah.
Dog. That's a curb at the bus stop.
Yeah. Thankfully he didn't take anyone else with him, and that is Mayer back in the pit lane. And Svoboda does rejoin the race. He is currently now in 11th position behind Parker Enquist. And Tommy Patero is still at the rear of Andy Pratt. Pratt, he was a little bit tardy in slowing down, hence why Patero kind of felt reluctant to just back off a little bit to make sure they didn't come together. But this is costing Patero all the time. You just see how hard he's pushing, and later on the brakes he is entering the apex of the corners, but still no way through for Patero.
I mean, he's running a good race, but he may be overdriving, like you said, just slightly pushing it. but he's obviously running a solid race. He's 15 spots. As our leader is up 12 spots out of that, and he got himself a nice little gap up.
Towards the inner loop they come again. Patero and Pratt coming out of here. No way through at the moment, and there's another driver back in the pit, Stephen Laird, who was right behind this group, and it looks like he's come together with, well, Alistair Clark has had a moment of his own. I don't think they came together because Laird was quite a bit ahead of Alistair Green. So Laird's going to be the first to go for a spin here. He's probably done the same thing as what Lachlan Mayer did a lap ago. Well, a similar thing, but a little bit earlier at the loop.
Yeah, he really kicked him sideways there. Gonna launch him off into the...
Matt Warner in 5th place. He's ahead of Eric Orchin now. He's just got by him, has Warner, but Orchin is still on course for the win in the AMS in race 2. And Warner carrying on his way. And Patero has finally got through on Andy Pratt for P3. But he's only got 2 laps to go after both Jerry Ferner and Ian Knox.
Let's go back and look at Patero getting by Andy here.
This will be over at toe, I think, unless it's just on the exit of the boot. Well, that's because Pratt put a wheel on the curb and he just felt it was not worth fighting it.
Well, that's probably a good thing. Throwing your entire race away. 3rd, 4th. Smart move. Plus, I think, no, I realized Patero was a bit faster anyway.
You just see how Patero's car was just launching over the curbs, entering the inner loop. That's probably why he's gaining the time over the likes of Jerry Verner and Ian Knox. He's right behind Verner here. How much will Verner go defensive now that he knows that Patero is on the tail of him? Well, he's left the door wide open. He's gone well wide, entering the boot. And is Patero going to find a way through around the outside? Well, Verner goes wide again, missing the apex. And Patero, well, he's just reading into it. He thought about maybe going for it the next turn, but I'm a little bit surprised he backed out a little bit there. Did you see how he just eased off the throttle a little bit on the exit?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't like it when drivers do that, in my honest opinion.
Well, I think he just thought better of it as far as right time. I think he's probably waiting to last.
Yeah, he's not going to have enough time to catch Ian Knox, even with the almighty skill that he's got. And he's going to go for it now, and that's a little bit naughty from Jerry Verner, pushing him towards the wall like that. But he has left enough room on the inside into turn 1. Jerry Verner allows Patero through, and that is the race winner of the first event here today, going through into 2nd place in race 2. I think Verner just needs to focus on keeping his car on track and getting to the final podium position here.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, we'll see. I mean, he's probably going to give it one last run here if he can. That close. Oh. Well, I'll tell you what. If you don't catch those curbs straight on right through the bus stop there or the inner loop, it really kicks your car out. And these cars are relatively heavy. Like the Radicals or something. That like a Radical.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of buffer that these cars, they can take the curbs better, I think, compared to how the Radicals do.
Yes.
And certainly more than a single-seater would be able to, no matter what series it would be able to do.
The problem is those cars are so much lighter that the weight of these cars tends to push them back down when they hop, whereas those other cars can hop sideways.
Ian Knox coming through the last couple of corners then. It's been a super drive. It's been a solid effort from Tommy Patero, but it's Ian Knox who's going to come away with the 2nd win of today. A brilliant drive from Ian Knox, who wins out over Tommy Patero by 2.8 seconds. Ian Knox wins at Watkins, Glen. A brilliant drive ahead of the championship leader, and Jerry Verner in 3rd place over Andy Pratt and Matt Warner in 5th. Eric Orchin, 6th place, and winning out in the AMS with Tom Weston 7th, and it's Matakos in 8th, Clark 9th, and Enquist 10th. Clark and Enquist rounding out the podium in the AMS with Savoda, the last driver on the lead lap.
Yeah, that was, we had some great action everywhere there, didn't we?
We did. I think we definitely saw more in that compared to what we saw in the first race, with so many drivers falling by the wayside in that second one. And I think Noxie
early incident, within the first 5 or 6 laps, we had 6 cars that were essentially 7 cars that were out of the race there.
Well, some definitely rejoined the race. Tim Wybrow was one of them. Garrett Kinney and Jerome Wolf also rejoining the race. Nick Green had been in the wars as well. Savoda had his own moment, but at least he's brought the car home in P11 and the last driver on the lead lap. I think Tim Wybrow is still going on the circuit, so we'll wait to see him cross over the line eventually. There he is. Look, going over the line now is Tim Wybrow, who was at the front of the field at the beginning, but then just fell away as the race progressed. Time to run down on the race 2 result here at Watkins Glen in this Ferrari Challenge of the JARC and the Novice Race Ferrari Challenge. Ian Knox the winner over Tommy Patero. There's Jerry Verner in 3rd place, Andy Pratt 4th, Matt Warner in 5th place, with Eric Horchin coming out as the victor in the AMS. Tom Weston 7th had a George Matakos. There's Alistair Clark and Parker Enquist running out the top 10 and the AM podium. Andre Savoda in 11th, followed by Nick Green, with Jerome Wolf, Garrett Kinney, and Tim Wybrow, the loss of those to take the checker flag. Stephen Laird didn't finish, neither did Lachlan Mayer or Trey Lambrandt, with Reese Bartlett didn't even take the start. Jim, a good race overall, or good races, I should say. Your final thoughts on the action of what we've seen today?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great action. I thought it was solid action up and down the field. Second race, full of battles everywhere.
And to let you know where the series will be racing at, it will be at Silverstone on the Grand Prix configuration on the 6th of July before the series takes a mid-season break. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in. Jim, thank you very much for joining me in the commentary position. If you have enjoyed the action, do make sure you like and subscribe to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. You keep right up to date with all the action that is being streamed on there. It's time to wrap it up, and we'll do it all over again in 7 days' time. I'm Tom Cairns, he's Jim Cunningham, and we'll speak to you again soon when the JARC and the Novice Racer Racing League Ferrari Challenge returns.